Hey guys, Hemi Vertible here. Hey guys, Hemi Vertible here. Hey, we're ready to go ahead and start working on this radiator. If you remember, saw some of my previous videos, we took the old C-body radiator out and put in a Griffith radio, just temporary, because I had to find another numbers matching radiator to send off to Glenray and have it rebuilt. So we've since gotten that radiator back, and with the front bumper off and the brackets getting painted, no better time than now to go ahead and swap that thing out while we're working on that at the same time. So let me go ahead and show you what we got going on here. If you hadn't seen the original video, let's take a look at this aftermarket thing that we stuck in here. Basically, this Griffith radiator that we put in, you know, it's kind of like Chevy style where it's a side flow, but you know, we were still able to get it bolted up or hosed up. I had some, you know, one size fits all type of corrugated hose on the top here. I did the same thing down there to the engine, just kind of cobbed it all together. Right there is where I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect this hose and get that thing to drain out. Now that hose connection is a little bit higher off the bottom, so this whole radiator isn't going to drain. But you know, basically I stuck that thing on there with this bracket. Got a couple screws in here into existing holes, so I didn't want to mess up the you know, front support or anything like that. And I did the same thing on the bottom. Got a little bracket sitting on the bottom that I used these screws from the valance up through there to hold that bracket in place. So we're going to just basically unbolt all this stuff and get ready to put the new radiator back in. Now the other thing that I did was I noticed that the clutch fan, that's got too long of a neck on it. You know, right now it's pretty close to that aluminum radiator, but I think it's going to be even closer to our new Glenray radiator. So I'm going to put a shorter one on there. They make a little shorty that'll bolt right on there and probably fit perfectly. So we're going to, not only are we going to pull this radiator out, we're going to pull that fan clutch out. I'm going to throw a new fan clutch, and I got a brand new clutch fan housing to go on the front of the radiator there. So we can put that on next, and then we'll slide the radiator in there. And I got new hoses and all that good stuff to hook it back up, so it'll look like it did from the factory. All right, we'll get at that next. So here I'm just going to reach down in there and we'll grab a hold of this hose and try to wiggle this sucker off of there or something. So we get that water to come out of there. Use antifreeze. That thing really had one heck of a bend on it to get it on. I don't know if it's gonna come off. All right, ready to come off of there. Here we go. It'll be a big mess. Ooh-wee. We let it come out of there a little slow so we catch most of it in our catch can down below there. I hope. Oh look, got a little fountain going on to the oil filter. Let's see what we got going on underneath here. Well, we got a little splashing going on. Not too awfully bad. Catching 99% of it. Not a whole lot of anything in this radiator. It's kind of small. Better just let that second roll off of there. There we go. We're dumping all the water out of the engine and radiator. What a mess. Look at that. Ooh-wee. That's all right. Not bad. We got a little bit down there on the cardboard, a little on the floor. We'll get it cleaned up. Probably could have that baby over a little bit further, but you know, as soon as you pull it to one side, it always goes to the other. So, all right, and then we'll just go ahead and pull up those top hoses and that top bracket. Once I pull that top bracket, the whole radiator just slide right out of there, and then that bottom bracket comes off. And then we're ready to go back with the new one. Oh yeah, that came out pretty easy. You can see my bracket on the bottom there. We just took those two bolts off the front. Pulled this top bracket off of there. We just had it, a little Z bracket on there. Hold that thing in there just like that. That's all she was. All right, now we're gonna pull a couple screws out down there, and then we're right at our fan, and pull them out real quick and put the new clutch on that fan. We actually got to take the fan out, pull the clutch off of the fan, and put the whole assembly back in there. Oh yeah, that came out pretty easy. You can see my bracket on the bottom there. We just took those two bolts off the front. Pulled this top bracket off of there. We just had it, a little Z bracket on there. Hold that thing in there just like that. That's all she was. All right, now we're gonna pull a couple screws out down there, and then we're right at our fan, and pull them out real quick and put the new clutch on that fan. We actually got to take the fan out, pull the clutch off of the fan, and put the whole assembly back in there. All right, guys, so that's the longer one there. And I'll tell you what's really forgiving is they give you room to get the bolts into the water pump housing. It's really tricky if you look. I don't know if I have longer bolts. I found some bolts that fit and made them work. But that little short piece there, man, you gotta like pull it back off of the water pump to get the bolts started. And then once you get them in there, it's like you can't get your hand and fingers down in there to snug them up. So might pay to have the correct bolts. I don't know if the correct bolts might even be just as long. I don't know if these are too long or it's just such a pain in the butt. But I had to pull that thing off and then snug the bolts up, and then just keep sliding that thing in there. Snug the bolts up, keep sliding it in. But very tight. It's a very tight fit, but it definitely pulls that baby back at least, I want to say, another ½ of an inch or so, which is really going to help give me some clearance to get my radiator up in there. So we'll set that in there next. All right, guys, so I got the fan and clutch thermostat, heavy duty thermostat clutch fan on there. I have my little housing in there for the fan, and I got two bolts down in the bottom there. These radiators, they have little slots in the bottom instead of fold holes. So little slot there, so you can set it down in there right on the bolts, keep them from traveling down too far. So I'm going to go ahead and slide this baby down in there and try to catch those bolts on the bottom and set it in place, and then I can get another screw in the top and bring the fan shroud right over to the front of the radiator. This is, of course, my 3-row Glenray, basically numbers matching radiator, all completely redone. These guys do a great job. They're big money, but you get what you pay for sometimes, and I feel like with radiators, you don't want your car ever overheating, so you definitely want to put the money into getting it done correctly. So let's see if we can slide this baby home. Got some weight to it, so it ain't easy. No real easy place to grab it. You got the hood in the way, front shroud in the way. Oh yeah. And the first thing I hit was that shroud with the hose. might have to temporarily, let's see, turn this thing like that. We have to set it like that. See, we can set it down, work it back around and set it back in place because it's catching the hose connection. Liable to catch that shroud down there and capture it so that I can't get it back out. So maybe, yeah, it's definitely going to catch that shroud down in there sideways. So that's not going to work. So I'm probably going to have to get it over the fan this side and try to just slide it back. See if I can get it in like that. I got it like a little bit of an angle with that side shoved back past the fan. See if we can get the hose connection down in there now. Almost a two-man operation. Could really use somebody jacking around with that shroud on this side. Got to get it past the battery tray. And actually have right on the battery tray. About that, it won't go down in there with the battery tray there. So let's see if I can just weasel it in there. I'm going to take a little pry and try to pry. It's the nut for the shroud is grabbing this tray here, so let's try to sneak it past there. Probably not my proudest moment. I got it started. Let me see if I can. There it goes. Finish it. All right. So now he's setting in there, but I don't know if we caught the bolts. Let's see if we caught the bolts. Holy smokes! That one's on. This one was stuck on the shroud, but yes, she dropped right down in there. Now let's see if bolt hole lines up anywhere close. Wow. So now the radiator has studs on it for the shroud. See if we can weasel that shroud over. This shroud is actually a shroud from the actual car. So pop right on, that side's on. Wow. That is hard to believe. Look at that. That baby's right in there. Let's snug her up a hair. Oh yeah. Damn. That was a little tougher than I thought, but you can never be too prepared. Kind of always seems like it's easier to put stuff in. Here, we'll let you take a look at these bolts down here. So we got the shroud right in there. Look, you pop right over those little studs, and down the bottom there, you can see I got that nut sticking out down there that she set in. Got her shrouds up over top of that. And with that little shorty fan clutch, puts that fan like right in the center of that shroud. And we've got good clearance for a radiator, because we don't want that fan touching that radiator. But the only interesting thing is this car was missing the nut there, so I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to do with that. And there's what it's supposed to look like. It's supposed to have that little nut on the back of it. I don't know, might have to address that later. I'll just get something through there, a nut, bolt, and a washer, make sure I hold it in place. But yeah, there she is, back in place. We'll throw some hoses on there. Look at that. Throw the old top hose on. Look at this one. Pretty simple. I've got the stock spring clips for it to make it just like original. I'm gonna pop this off and stick it back on, but it's just you put stock stuff on, it just fits so nice. Absolutely crazy when you do aftermarket stuff. It just seems like everything's such a pain in the behind. Never actually fits perfectly, but you put stock stuff on, it just goes. So that baby's gonna keep it nice and cool. Let's check down the side of this thing. This is the old 3-core setup, the high capacity cooling from Glenray. Yeah, of course, you know, another one of those things where you gotta pay a little bit extra for it. But it's all right. It's worth it. There's a flash there, it's a flashlight. Down in there. See in there. 1, 2. Take on. 1, 2, 3. There you go. Nice 3-core radiator. These things, there's our radiators, the old 29, 49, 055. That is the, you know, and they take these old housings, and if they have any dents or dings or anything in them, they straighten them out. I mean, that bracket and stuff they put on there, it's just immaculate. I think they actually do better than the factory. You know, the factory's got a lot of junk and crap on them, but these guys do a really good job to finish those radiators off. So if you're ever in the market for a radiator and you got some cash to throw away, go on and check out Glenray, because they do a tremendous job. All right, we'll get some hoses on this baby and fill her up with some fluid and fire her up and take her for a ride and see how she does. All right, guys, so a couple more things before we let this one go. So you got my clamps on there on that top hose. We got some down on the bottom hose down in there. You can't see them. But I just wanted to show you, I went ahead and got a bolt and a nut and a washer to cover that hole. Of course, it, like I said before, it's supposed to look like that, but we'll have to take care of that later. It's a pretty minor thing, but hey, don't forget to like and subscribe. And once I get this thing out running down the road, maybe we'll do some more videos on that. One of the other things I did want to mention was we were talking about numbers matching on this radiator. It's kind of a misnomer. It's more of just a part number. It's on the build sheet. It showed that I had an 055, which is a 26-inch, was a 2-core radiator. The big RTs with the big 440s got an air conditioning radiator, and even though they did not have air conditioning, and that particular radiator is not necessarily numbers matching. Numbers matching is usually referred to by anything that has the VIN number on it. You know, the VIN number I stuck this on there too. It's pretty cool. It's going to have like the last 8 digits, so it would be like the 9B with the 6 serial number digits. But the trick to the numbers matching radiator is not really numbers matching, it's numbers correct. It's date code is what you start doing all these other parts on. If it doesn't have a VIN number, it's not numbers matching, but it can be numbers correct by having the correct part number and date code. And just about everything that you can think of on this vehicle is date coded, from the distributors to the carburetors to the wiper motors, alternators, power steering boxes, lower control arms. So much stuff is date coded. So that is one thing that I was able to do with this radiator. I think it was built in December 68 or January 69. And down here, you ain't gonna be able to see it, down there on the flange, it has a date code stamped in it. Now everything has different ways that they date code it too. Not every date code is basically translated the same. Your alternator has a different style of a date code compared to the power steering box, and so on. But maybe we'll get into that another day. But hey, like I said, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.